So good day, everyone. Welcome to the Strike Point Gold Exploration Update. I'm Knox Henderson, Head of Investor Relations for Strike Point. And with me today is CEO and Director Mike Allen. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well today, Knox.
Good, good. It's a typical cloudy Vancouver fall day, September 28th, and we're excited to get going here. We've started we've done quite a bit over the summer, and we put out a news release a couple of days ago, and so we can give some clarity to everyone on what we're doing and where we're going. So just some housekeeping. If you have any questions, Mike's going to run through the presentation, and then at the end we can take some questions. You just click on the chat button on the bottom right there. As soon as you think of the question, you can type it right away, and at the end I'll prioritize the questions and ask Mike directly. So, and we're also making some forward-looking statements. We encourage you to do your own diligence. If you like to look at our cautionary statement, it's on page 2 of our deck. You could download that and read that on your spare time. And yeah, I think with that, Mike, maybe you could start us off with just a brief overview of Strike Point and our philosophy, and what we plan to achieve in the next while.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know if anybody on the call here actually knows me and my history, but I've been working in Nevada for probably about 15 years in various capacities. As a VPX, I've been a CEO of various companies. And just as a general thought about the junior mining resource space, what you seem to look for, and if you want to find a successful company to look at, there's sort of three things that you need to see. You need to see something that has a bit of exploration upside. You need to have something with a backstop of value so that your investment isn't going to go to zero. And then you need an experienced management team that can go out and actually create value and unlock those values for shareholders. I think we've created that with Strike Point right now. Cuprite, which we're going to be talking about today, is got that potential for multi-million ounce discovery. It is a mostly greenfields property that we acquired from Origin Royalties and then subsequently staked and expanded. As I said, I've been working around in Nevada for years. Most recently, or most successfully, actually, is probably the best term. I was the head of a company called Northern Empire, and we had what is called the Sterling asset in Southern Nevada. Found something that it was off the radar, and we were able to extract a lot of value for shareholders and create liquidity, and we ultimately sold that to Coeur Mining. As a result or subsequent to that transaction, Coeur sold our property to Anglo Gold, and they've consolidated the Beatty district, and they're probably on their way to a 20 million ounce district being discovered. What happened to create the exploration upside in Strike Point is I had a meeting with Patty Nichols at Origin. Origin was also very intimately involved with the Beatty district, and Patty Nichols said to me he had something similar to the Anglo Gold Silicon discovery within their portfolio, and he wanted to show this to me. This is Nevada. This is my backyard. I was able to call people that I've worked with for a couple of decades in Nevada, hop on a plane, and within a week we were there, and shortly after did a deal on Cuprite. So our vision, I probably went a little bit early into this slide, but the Walker Lane, our vision is to work in premier jurisdictions. Right now we're focused in BC and Nevada. Nevada I've got the most experience with, but I've also worked heavily in BC. This is the deal that we did with Origin, and it's got multi-million ounce potential that we can do down there. Year-round exploration. It's right off the highway in Nevada. Reno would be here, Vegas would be down here. Done a lot of work throughout the summer. We did our geophysics, soil surveying, our surveys, and our mapping. We might do a bit more geophysics this fall, but we're getting geared up to drill either this fall or early 2024, depending on rig availability. So diving into what we had on the news release, a bit more of the detail, as I said, Reno is up here, Las Vegas. This is the Walker Lane part of Nevada. There's several gold trends in Nevada. The Walker Lane probably geographically is the largest of them, and probably the most underexplored. Nevada has got a long history of gold exploration. There's been some massive discoveries. This is where Barrick's bread and butter is. This is where Kinross's bread and butter is. But the Walker Lane, for whatever reason, has been relatively underexplored in the past little while, and that's starting to change. I mean, with what I did with the Sterling transaction, what Patty at Origin did with the discovery that was made at Silicon, they're starting to see some significant excitement in the Walker Lane. To consolidate the district, Anglo Gold spent about $600 million before they transacted, or before they put a drill bit into the ground, just consolidating the district. There's also a significant M&A transaction that happened in last year. This year, the Centerra gem field, they bought that from a private equity group called Waterton for $200 million. So grossly speaking, in the last 5 or 6 years in this little circle here, you've seen about $1 billion Canadian of M&A transactions happen. So moving on to more of the details, getting in, probably just for the sake of time, just skip over this. This deck is on our website, but you're in elephant country. 3.9 million ounces for the Gemfield deposit. Anglo Gold 4.2, and they have also a target of an additional 6 to 8 million ounces at the Merlin target. What's important is that people think about Nevada as a mature district. People have been mining there for literally hundreds of years, but new discoveries continue to be made. The Silicon discovery is probably the most significant North American discovery in the last decade. So what have we done? Going to the news release, we collected a bunch of soil samples over the property. It was just over 1,000 samples. You can see the lines over here, and we also did some structural mapping. What we've got here, this anomaly here, is about 2.6 square kilometers, so a fairly significant area of elevated mercury in soils. Single highest sample was 7.4 grams per ton, which is a lot. I believe it to be similar tenor to what was discovered down at Silicon. We've also got additional soil anomalies associated with structures down here. These are things that we need to be working on. But this large mass of mercury anomaly is quite coherent, large scale. And it ties in with different things that we've mapped and seen on the ground. So it's really got us excited here. There's also, I'm not showing the imagery of it, but there's also a bit more of a bloom. There's a broader dispersed arsenic and antimony anomaly that could be caused by a convection cell of the sulfides degrading at depth. So it's pushing up and pushing out. The mercury comes to surface, it sort of stays there, but the arsenic and antimony moves off to the side. So it's a multi-element anomaly there. We did also IP over the property, IP induced polarization geophysics. You put a charge into the ground, electrical charge into the ground. It essentially lines up the ions in the water, and then you turn it off. And how quickly it goes back to normal is how you measure things. So what that gave us, we had this work done by a gentleman by the name of Jim Wright. He identified a structural corridor of chargeability and resistivity highs that give us a fairly significant corridor of structure to work with. And historic mapping had also put a large structure in here. What we think that this is over on this side, there's a large caldera. This is just a ring corridor around it going north-south, where you're getting down offset. And these hatch zones are interpreted to be zones of silicification, which would be where hydrothermal fluids have put in silica. They also have put in other minerals, hopefully, that are giving us the mercury anomaly, and hopefully there's gold there at depth. But it's a structural setting that's similar to what they see down at Silicon, which is about 75 miles to the south, 75 kilometers.
Hey, Mike, maybe you should just describe, calderas, what they are and how they play a key role in this area for other deposits and ours.
Sure. I'll just back up here. What calderas are very they're ancient volcanoes, and so you've had a large thing, something like Mount St. Helens, a massive volcano exploding. The whole top of the mountain blows off, and you get a very large ring structure where all the fractures have been around the edge of that volcano. The Walker Lane, there's actually several significant deposits that are associated at caldera margins. Silicon is one of them. Gemfield is one, and actually, I'll just back up one more slide. Round Mountain is also a caldera structure, but the Walker Lane, that sort of seems to be one of the things to look at. There's a few others that are out there right on these ring structures where you get mineralization coming together. So it's a good place to be. Large volcano, a lot of fluid flow, a lot of heat pumping through, a lot of ground prep, and then you get an opportunity for mineralization to happen. I'll just roll forward to where we were. The next slide is the chargeability. The same thing that it's seeing here, the structures. And what we're seeing is some chargeability flare up into these silicified zones. And that's an indication that there's potentially for sulfides, gold mineralization, we hope, at depth coming up into these silicified zones, which will be very exciting for drilling later on in the year. In addition, we had an army of young geologists out on the ground doing geological mapping on the property. What excited me about when I first did my site visit is these two north-south faults are very prominent, and they're stepping down. This is where we're seeing the caldera edge. It's stepping down, heading off to the east over here. But what we also were able to map through a combination of on the ground and Google Earth is these east-west structures. And these I think are important because they're intersecting the north-southers. So just imagine this is the same map, same scale. And we get these east-westers, we get the mercury anomalies where they meet the north-southers. They're right there. And so it's a multi-discipline anomaly that we're getting to start to create these targets. So for me as a geologist, as a technical person, when you get one method showing you there's an anomaly, that's interesting. It's a good start. When you've got several layers of data coming through and saying this is an area that you need to be interested in, then I start to get a bit more confidence and a bit more excited about going out there and spending shareholder money to try and make a discovery on a multi-element thing. It puts that backstop, it puts a bit more certainty in. There's obviously still a fair bit of risk, but this is a high risk, high reward scenario. But for me, the technical parts are coming together and saying all these factors are coming together, and you might be onto something of significance down here in Nevada, Mike. So as this comes together, here we are. We've got the structural corridor. This is mapped at surface. The mercury anomalies, we've hatched it in, the east-west structures, and that gives you a fairly significant, fairly large target area. It's about 6 kilometers from one end to the other. This is about 2.6 square kilometers. So a little bit, it's big, it's significant. It has a high possibility, or it has the potential to be a large-scale deposit, which is what we're looking for. Nevada is known these days for those big, low-grade, high-tonnage operations. Marigold, Brown Mountain, Gemfield, the Silicon. They're big things, low grade, high tonnage, but they make a lot of gold. And in Nevada, because you're dealing with a highly skilled, experienced workforce, those big low grade operations are incredibly profitable.
So, Mike, we were considering doing some more follow-up groundwork, some additional IP, maybe going north-south.
Yeah, one of the things that we're looking at here is these two east-west structures might make a bit of a graben, and we're just wanting to get a bit more resolution in this part of the world just to see what happens before we start drilling. So we're thinking about a north-south line somewhere in this area, just to see how the offsets are with these structures. But these X marks the spots in the highest grade mercury anomaly. That's where we want to be. So again, this is a bit of a comparison between us and Silicon. This is the Silicon model, or what has been published to date. You see these structures, these deep, they're called normal faults, and they're stepping off. In the Silicon case, they go to the west. For us, it's the reverse. We're on the other way around. Steps down to the east, but this is what we're seeing. This silicification, that mineralization. Where is it here? That's what we're seeing. Here's the step down. Imagine this silicification. Take that image in your mind, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And we're going to be drilling, hopefully, into mineralization between those two, along those structural corridors where it steps down. A lot of ground prep, a lot of structural preparation for the zone, but that's the target. And as I say, we're looking to be drilling in late 2023, early 2024, just based on rig availability.
That's good. That's a good summary of where we're at as the Cooperite project. Maybe do you want to sort of touch on some of our BC projects, or?
Yeah, we've got some properties up in the Golden Triangle. They actually provide a good backstop of value for the company. There's a fairly high grade silver resource. So they're just outside of Stewart in northern BC in the Golden Triangle, an area that's got a long history of some significant gold mines. Probably the most significant in the last little while in terms of news is the Red Chris, Newcrest, and now actually, pardon me, this needs to be updated. Newmont and Imperial Metals have got Red Chris somewhere in here. Just let me find it. This is Snowline Brucejack right here. This is an interesting deposit here. It's probably one of the more high grade but odd deposits that has ever been discovered. It's vapor phase transported gold. Very interesting, but it's about a 14 gram per ton underground resource, bulk mining. In terms of our projects here, we've got a fairly high grade resource. We're looking at probably an average grade of, let's do the math here, probably on the order of 700 grams per ton silver. And what is interesting is we've got open strike length to be able to drill. Lot to work with there, but it is quite steep and it is glacially covered. So we're going to do our work mostly for the next part of the year in Nevada. As I say, get out there drilling in late 2023, early 2024, and see what we can discover down at Cooperite. In terms of the team, I took over as CEO just under a year ago, November of last year. Sean Kuhn, he stepped up to the executive chairman role. He's running a project in the Golden Triangle called Dolly Varden Silver, having some good success up here. This gentleman is one of my favorite characters in the world. This is Adrian Fleming. Adrian and I have been bouncing around the bush together since 2000. He and I were up at Hope Bay on the Arctic Circle in February 2nd of 2000 at 65 below. Fabulous experience. But we've been circling around each other since then. Adrian and I did Northern Empire together, had a fabulous success, and he brings a really good energy and good technical expertise to the board. So maybe with that, Knox, I see that somebody's got a question, and we'll see where we can start to get going here.
Sure. Actually, maybe you want to talk a bit about our shareholders.
Sure.
We have the 46% institutions, and
Yeah.
but some of those institutions are pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, the names that are out there are the bigger names into the gold space. Delbrook is in for quite a bit of the company. U.S. Global. Sprott. This is Sprott the man. So if you consider Eric Sprott to be an institution, we're probably about 60% institutionally held. 213 million shares outstanding. Market cap is, like everybody else, is pretty depressed for about an $11 million Canadian market cap. We've got a fairly healthy treasury, just under $3 million bucks at our last financial statements. So that'll get us through if we want to do a modest program. Budget for that off the back of an envelope is about $1 million bucks to go out there and do the drilling that we're contemplating to do out at Cooperite.
And that's probably approximately 2,000 feet of drilling, what you're saying?
2,000 meters, 6,000 feet.
Meters, good.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta forgive that. I'm working in the U.S. and talking to Canadians, so it gets Fringlished.
Okay, so thanks for the overview, Mike. Let's see if anyone has any more questions. Just click on the chat button there, and I'll read them out here, and Mike will answer them. So actually, the first question is from Ido Main Media. How much cash will be allocated to the current drill program? You just mentioned that. Cash on hand is around $3 million, correct? Will other properties in Alaska be sold off, or any future plans such as Snowline to acquire? How many drill holes will be tested come late fall or 2024? So there's a few questions in there.
Okay, that's
Some of which you've already answered.
that's a mouthful. We do have another property in the Yukon. Not a lot is being done with it right now. I believe it's in good standing till about 2030. There is some interest in it. As a result, you're starting to see an area play develop around Snowline Gold's discovery up there. So we do have some exposure to that part of the world. I believe somebody asked. There was one question: how many holes? And we're thinking somewhere along the lines of, I believe it's 7 is the number, but it's going to depend. That was sort of that's subject to revision as we get additional data in.
Right. And the other follow-up question is Crescat Capital still part of the shares or ownership since Strike Point? Looks like the answer is yes.
Yes, to the best of our knowledge, yes. Crescat is still there.
Yes. And what's the soonest Nevada could be becoming a producing mine? Well, that's a few years down the road, but
yeah, I mean the timeline for that is, for the sake of the argument, let's run this out. We have actually started the process of doing a plan of operations for big boy drilling. We've started to do the baseline environmental studies. So for the sake of the argument, let's say January 1st, 2024, we go out there, we start drilling. First hole hits, wonderful. We drill a bunch of holes. We make our early permit last for 18 months, and we get our bigger permit. Takes us to resource pre-feasibility, all those wonderful things. It would be probably 5 years if everything went exactly right. Then you'd enter into the permitting process. Nevada, it's pretty regimented as to what happens, and once you put your permit in for a mine application, it generally takes you about 3 years, and then the government will give you a permit, and then away you go.
Yeah, that's certainly for much further down the road. What the opportunity now clearly is the opportunity for discovery. We have
Exactly.
this greenfield, never been drilled before area in a very good neighborhood. We have enough cash to do some, take a serious look at this moving forward. So if you're looking at the Lassonde curve, you're early in the stages, which is also the most successful time to, appreciate some kind of shareholder value. And, if and when we make a discovery and when the market turns around.
Well, yeah, and this is one of the things that is interesting about Cuprate is like considering the success that has happened down at Goldfield, or pardon me, not at Goldfield, at Silicon. I mean, it's the largest discovery in Nevada in the last decade, probably bar none. And if we are in the situation where we make a discovery at Cuprate, I don't think it's going to be all that long before I'm finding out what Mark Bristow is really like. This is Nevada. Big discoveries do not come along every day, and you're going to get that big company look at it virtually instantaneously.
Okay, and another follow-up question. Do you foresee the need for raising any more cash? Well, we're an exploration company and we're always looking for cash down the road, but do you foresee a raise in the near future? And are your expectations around $1 million for drill holes, which you already answered?
Yeah, it's about $1 million for drilling. Right now, I think that we have a decision to make at the board level. We'll be talking with the drill contractors and managing our treasury, how it's appropriate. Near term, if you define it in the next 3 months, I don't think that we'll be doing a financing. But as you said, Knox, we're an exploration company, and we'll see where we get to. You're always looking for dough.
Right. And we certainly have enough for our 6,000 feet or 2,000 meters, just to clarify
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. If there are any other questions, feel free to put them into the chat right now. Otherwise, we could probably wrap up here with a nice tidy half hour just to cover our recent news release. Oh, here's something. And is your goal to sell or be acquired or to proceed through mine development?
Always the interesting question. I think that there's a point where you have to ask yourself that question very very seriously. I think that what my job is to create value and liquidity for our shareholders, and so how I do that is sort of a bit at discretionary. Our with the guidance of the board as well. So as a team, we'll make that decision as we make a discovery, grow this company. There'll be an opportunity where somebody may come to me and say, Mike, you're trading at your and this is what happened with Northern Empire. Mike, we're trading at your all-time high. We're going to put a premium on it. Every shareholder that has ever bought a stick of stock has got an opportunity to make money if you take this offer right now. Okay, that's something to consider. If we're in a situation where that doesn't happen, we've got the skill sets and we can grow the company and grow the individuals within the company to take this all the way and put it into production. So it's a long-term decision, but the goal is the ultimate goal: value and liquidity for shareholders. How you do it, being sold, building it, going on and becoming a multi-million ounce growth story, being a producer, all those things are levers that we can do right now. Get out the gates, make that discovery, make that big splash in the market, and those decisions as to how we're going to ultimately create shareholder value, whether we're going to become a producer, is going to be largely market and board driven.
Right. And what's important now is the discovery point, for the months to come, and that's where we can really drive shareholder value. I mean, in Nevada with gold, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in the years ahead. But first
Well,
off, we have to build it. We have to find it.
yeah. The other part is like Knox, you referred to the Lassonde curve, and where we are will be in the market. The first leg up is to when you make discovery, and then there's the permitting exercise and engineering exercise that is actually a bit destructive of shareholder value, and then you go back up again. So there's points when what's the Kenny Rogers song? No one to walk away, no one to run, and that's the job of the board is if there's an offer there and we're at a high price, take it. If we go all the way and we need to create shareholder value by turning this into a mine, absolutely we can do that.
Okay. One other follow-up question. With what it's a tough question. What value do you put on your properties in Alaska? Not sure if you can estimate this, but just curious if you have a range. I think it's a very
It's,
difficult.
that's an interesting question. The value of for clarity, there is no Alaska properties. They are BC properties.
Yeah, yeah,
So, in terms of the value of those BC properties, they vary because they're silver properties. They vary largely with the silver market. When the silver squeeze was going on, those were incredibly valuable properties. I think that the market cap of the company was about 60 million bucks. Today they're a bit more. The silver market has come off and they're a bit less. You look at the market cap of the company, 11 million bucks. Take out the cash. Mentally, I would say that they're probably 50% of the remaining market cap of the company. So, for the sake of the argument, they're $8 million market when you claw back the cash. So call it 4 and 4 and leave it at that.
that's a pretty good estimate. I mean, what's interesting is that the company was valued at $60 million at one point with those assets. So I think that's the salient point. It
Yeah.
all depends on the timing in the market and all of that. And then on that point, have you had any interest from royalty companies with VC assets?
Not on the BC assets. Obviously, Cuprate coming from Origin. Origin is a royalty company, so um, they are we're on their list.
Yeah, and it's too early for the VC assets. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, I think that should wrap things up. And thanks everyone for attending, and thanks for the questions, and thank you, Mike, for giving us an overview of the exploration program at Strike Point. If you have any additional questions, you could email info@strikepointgold.com, and we'd be happy to answer whatever you are inquiring about. So, with that, thanks, Mike.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Okay, have a great day. Bye now. We're signing
Bye.
off.